Hey everybody, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Caleb.
That guy is my little brother.
We're the Bearded Bible Brothers. And you may have been watching our amazing new series, Return of the Nephilim, 8 episodes in, and we're not done yet. We're taking a short break from that for a moment. You know, we've been focusing on the biblical narrative of the Nephilim, paralleling it with Greek and Roman mythology and Canaanite mythology, and eventually, God willing, I want to talk more about it in the second season of Return of the Nephilim, where we go places like Iraq, Iran, South America, Egypt. But we'll see what happens when we get there in the future.
17 episodes isn't enough, huh? You need more. He needs more. It's a long story. It's not just the fact that this is a story that's told throughout the Bible, and that's why we're focusing on it. But this whole seed war, this is Satan's plot that he has to battle the Messiah, right? He doesn't like him. We know that. But the practical application, why is it necessary for you? Because we fight a spiritual battle, and you need to know how this war works. You need to know the tactics of the enemy, and you need to know how you can be successful in this life in fighting against him.
So during this 1 episode break, we're going to hear from the other experts who have deep insight concerning the Nephilim. You're going to hear from amazing individuals like L.A. Marzulli, Daniel Maritz, and Dr. Willem McLoud.
First, we're going to listen to Lee Brainard of Soothkeep Ministries. While you're busy struggling with the NIV version, this guy's reading the Bible in its original text. He's looking at it in the ancient Greek, he's looking at it in the Hebrew, and he understands it. And he gives you an insight that you're not going to get from the modern translations. He also has a theory, the black thread of the Nephilim, where you can follow them throughout history. And after that, Dr. J.B. Hixson, that man is going to talk about the Luciferians. These guys sound terrible because they are. Check it out.
Thanks for joining us today, Lee.
Well, it's great to be with you guys. And you know what? I'm glad you're part of this group of upcoming younger evangelicals that are making beards great again.
Yes, sir.
I love this book that you've written called Recent Pre-Trib Findings in the Early Church Fathers. I mean, you have really, you're a historian, you're a scholar. You're no flake when it comes to taking on those really hard subject matters that people don't want to talk about. And one of those is the Nephilim. Why do you believe the Nephilim are actually a race of hybrid giants?
Well, from the time I was a young believer, I embraced the view, because it just seemed to be taking the scriptures at face value, that the sons of God, the angels, the ungodly fallen angels, literally came down to earth, literally cohabited with women, and literally had children with them. Where are you going to find evidence that can prove that you can get 12-foot giants from average-sized human beings from the godly line and the ungodly line? There's no science there.
Yes.
But if you look at the ancient testimonies around the world, especially for the second incursion after the flood, you find evidence from every major culture that the gods came down to man, mingled with the daughters of men, became the ruling class in many cultures around the world, Inca and Aztec and their predecessors, Sumeria, Babylon, Acadia, the Romans, the Greeks, they all have these tales. Even the Chinese have their tales. So no matter where you go, you find these same kind of footprints that we find if we're looking at dragons or dinosaurs, or if we're looking at generic giant tales, or we're looking at anything else that's biblical, the remnants of it in ancient history. And when you come into like the time of Christ and going forwards in history, you have these powerful Greek lines, you have powerful Roman lines that appear to have had Nephilim bloodlines in them. And they ultimately end up dominating European politics and to some degree Middle Eastern politics. They become the royal lines, they become the powerful elite families, and sometimes those powerful elite families are more powerful than the ones actually sitting on the throne. This is really the rise of the deep state. And I think these deep state lines have just continued throughout history, dominating politics. And it was these secret societies that were headed by the deep states that wanted to found America. Yeah. They knew if they tried to raise a new world order in Europe, one of these nations would try and be the little horn, and the other would say, we're not following you. Yeah. But if you mingled all of them in America, then you have a mingling of the European peoples and the Middle Eastern peoples. And now you have a new country that can rise up and be the little horn. So it's fascinating. I don't think that's proof that America is going to be the little horn, but it is interesting that in some of these Illuminati, Luciferian circles, that was what they were trying to do, to raise up America to be the little horn, the new world order leader to lead the world.
Go to Soothkeep ministries online. Watch these YouTube videos. They're amazing resources, and then they will educate you to be able to go out and be competent and confident in sharing the gospel of Yeshua, and also in teaching correct theology to other believers. So,
because at this point, with all the information from Lee and everybody else out there, if you went out there and got the dadgum mark, or you got some kind of like transhuman donkey as a pet, it's on you, because you had all the information at your disposal. But thank you, Lee, for being with us today.
Amen. Well, I certainly enjoy spending time with you, brothers. I hope we're able to collaborate more in the future.
Most
absolutely.
definitely.
We love you, Lee. Thanks for joining us.
Amen.
Today, we have a PhD on our show, Dr. J.B. Hixson.
Yeah.
This man, he's a pastor. He's a genius. He speaks at national conferences. He's an author of over 15 plus books, including Fade to Black, Rise of Global Tyranny. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I feel like that old Sesame Street sketch, which one doesn't belong? I don't have a beard. But I love you guys and really looking forward to the discussion today.
You have so many amazing books. We have some of them here: Spirit of the Antichrist, Volume 1 and 2, Spirit of a False Prophet. And your content that you have been teaching about in conferences and writing about these past maybe 5 to 10 years has really been focused on this Luciferian agenda that's going global, Satan preparing and setting up his one world government.
I've just become passionate about exposing the earthly side of this cosmic battle. You know, guys, most people, Christians, even if they're only casually acquainted with spiritual warfare, they get that there is a good and an evil, there's a God and a Satan, and there's a battle raging. But so many Christians are utterly asleep and naive to the fact that Satan is conspiring not only with evil celestial beings, but also with earthly accomplices, global elites, the Luciferian elite, power brokers. And so that's really what I've tried to expose. The greatest conspiracy of all time is the Luciferian conspiracy. Satan, his earthly human accomplices, and his celestial evil angelic accomplices. And together, trying to do what? To take over the world. The battle started in the celestial realm when Satan had his coup attempt in heaven, and that didn't go too well for him. He took 1/3 of the angels, and now he has set his sights on the created universe.
The concept that in Satan's ranks, they're not all team players. I don't know, somehow that escaped me. I guess I was, not in the front row of that dang conspiracy church. But I think sometimes we get overly afraid of the enemy because we feel like everyone around every corner is on his team, and they're all communicating on a walkie-talkie and working against us. But that's not the case. And it's so smart, because actually the nature of evil is to what? Betray, deceive, be prideful. So it only makes sense that, team bad is all in it for themselves at the end of the day, which actually makes me feel more confident as a believer and safe.
The whole premise of my approach to exposing this comes from 1 John 4:3, where the Bible tells us the spirit of the future Antichrist is already working today. And so I took basically 7 broad characteristics of that future Antichrist that I call the 7 spirits of the Antichrist, and I examined how the stage is being set in each area. And the biggest one is the spirit of pretense or deception, as you say. But yeah, there are at least 3 primary outposts of this earthly globalist agenda. You've got Russia, China, and of course the West, primarily the United States. And they're not always in lockstep. Not everybody involved in this conspiracy realizes that they're part of a satanic or Luciferian agenda. They might just be in it for power, sex, riches, money, whatever. And obviously there's a top tier that gets their marching orders directly from Satan. They understand the spiritual aspect of it. But a lot of people have totally different agendas, and that's what makes it so sloppy sometimes. Just because these agencies are controlled does not mean there are not good, God-fearing, in some cases Christian, patriotic people serving that have the best of intentions. But unfortunately, they're the exception, not the rule. Yeah, so the best place to reach us is on the web at notbyworks.org. We also have a free app that is outstanding. It's sort of your one-stop hub for all things NBW Ministries. It's NBW Ministries on the App Store or Google Play Store. It's free. In that same passage that talks about the spirit of the Antichrist, greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. And yes, it's real. It's a real battle. We have nothing to fear. Christ has already won the battle when that stone was rolled away.
It has been a pleasure speaking with you as always. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Hey, my pleasure. We'll do it anytime. I'd love you guys. Appreciate your work.
Thanks, JB.
The Bearded Bible Brothers is an outreach of Zola Levitt Ministries. Visit levitt.com to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, The Levitt Letter, or call 1-800-WONDERS. Check out our resources we have available on our online store. You can also visit beardedbiblebros.com to subscribe to weekly digital updates through email and watch our online videos and content. Your donations and love gifts help us continue our mission to bring the gospel to the Jew first. We thank you for your faithful support. I know you want to see the entire interview, and you can, but you got to go to YouTube and type in Bearded Bible Bros. Or you can go to our website, beardedbiblebros.com, and find the full length of everything we make. It's incredible.
That's right. And next up, we have two amazing South Africans who are actually friends with one another, and they both like to focus on the ancient Sumerian and Akkadian origins of the Nephilim.
That's a lot to focus on. First up, we have Daniel Maritz. That man started DLM Christian Perspective and Ruach Entertainment. They make video games. They write stories and books. This stuff is meant to rescue those trapped in their mom's basement from the clutches of hell and other people who need to be saved too. But it focuses on a pre-flood world with Sumerian cults and all kinds of other stuff. But it's so cool. I can't wait to play the video game for myself.
That's right. And then we speak with Dr. Willem McLoud. He is a genius scholar with 3 masters, a PhD. He wanted to learn everything he could about the Nephilim, so he learned ancient Sumerian, Akkadian, cuneiform, traveled the globe for 30 years, learning everything, going to all the high places, megalith hotspots before he put pen to paper. You're going to want to hear what these men have to say.
I haven't gotten past C. A, B, and C. D's coming up.
Daniel, thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, it's so awesome to be here. And man, that introduction was way too kind, but thank you.
We love talking with you. You are so passionate. You love God so much, and that is contagious.
Yeah, a few years ago, we talked, and I talked to Haddon and I said, hey, we need to share the gospel through gaming, because there's 3.5 billion gamers in the world. Many of them never step a foot inside church. And so we're already doing Christian lifestyle, dealing Christian perspective. We're reaching millions, but we're losing these people. And there's a lot of darkness in there. So we started Ruach Entertainment after much prayer, and he confirmed it. I mean, God, right, confirmed it a few times. And so it's a non-profit organization under the umbrella of DLM Christian Lifestyle. And so when we started the game design document, we realized, man, there's so much information here. We need to create a book. And then the book started to turn into a saga, right? So this is only book 1 of many to come. This is Lightborn. It's focused on Jesus Christ. He is the Lightborn, right? It focuses on the prophecy, Genesis 3 verse 15, the first of the Messiah, right? We want to make it a game that you can play in the servers of around 40 people, and you can experience this world before the flood. And it will feel like fantasy, because you have Nephilim, you have fallen angels, you have a lot of strange things. People lived for centuries, right? And we bring this world to life, and we focus on the Bible, we stick to the Bible, but then we'll also bring in archaeology of the ancient Sumerians, Akkadians, so on and so forth. There are 2 different views here when it comes to the Nephilim. I believe there's a lot more biblical proof that it is actually the fallen angels that's called the sons of God, as we read in the book of Job and other places, and also in the Septuagint, that it translates that specifically as angels. And so I believe these are mixed breeds from humans and then fallen angels. And if their fathers were different types of angels, you could have different types of Nephilim as well. And so throughout history, we see that the Bible does talk about Nephilim. Even after the flood, we have the Anakim, we have different tribes of them. We see it all over scripture, all the way up until David. There's still Goliath and his brothers and others as well, right? But that time their DNA was probably diluted much. And that's around, what was it, 1,000 years before Christ?
Big question for me. Just want to make sure that I'm okay when I wander in a dark alley. Are Nephilim still around today? And do I need to walk around?
That's a big jump.
To walk around armed. I know it's a jump. My brain is like a stray cat. There's so many questions that I have half the time.
Yeah, a lot of people, they have different views on this, right? I'll just say personally, I believe they are. They might not be these big giants.
Sure.
Over time, their DNA was diluted. And when you actually look at secret societies and people who trace their DNA, they believe they are descendants from the Nephilim. And these are powerful people today. In corporations, in government, they are here.
So for those who need this, for those who don't think they need this, how can we find you, Daniel? How can we find Lightborn? How can we get a hold of all the things that you're unveiling in this rapid timeline so that we can use these tools for our benefit?
Yeah, well, you guys can just search online, Lightborn, Dawn of Darkness. That is the name of this first book, because it is the dawn of darkness. But also on our website, dlmchristianlifestyle.com. Everything will be there. Or you can also, we have another channel called Dealing Christian Perspective, because we have 2 YouTube channels, but we also started a new YouTube channel called Ruach Entertainment. There we give people updates also about the book and the games we're bringing out.
I know that the gospel is a scary thing nowadays, and people are really afraid to go out and to witness and minister. Use these resources as a scapegoat. It wasn't me. This Daniel guy with the cool accent, much better than DiCaprio's, he told me all this stuff. You know, use our videos. Use these as a tool to reach other people. Blame it on us. We can take the heat and their mean comments because we love you and your eternal soul, and that's what we're all fighting for. So until next time, thank you, sir.
Bye.
Willem McLoud, it is an honor to have you on our program. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Absolutely.
Your degrees in like nuclear physics, you understand quantum physics. Tell us a little bit about your background and your research, and eventually how did that come to this, I guess, this peak of interest in this biblical and ancient historical story?
So the primeval history was also always of great interest to me. As a scholar, it's important to not only understand that the Bible originated from an ancient world, a world very, very different from our own, with a totally different worldview that we have, but also that what we read about in the Bible is often also referred to in extra-biblical sources. So it came from a world in which the Bible was not always the only source with regard to those events. For my research, I have some very good friends that traveled with me, and what we did was what we call Grail journeys. So we did 7 Grail journeys, and we traveled all across the Middle East and the Mediterranean region and Europe, some countries in Europe, because the Grail story, and as I've said, the Nephilim story is, in my opinion, a continuous tradition. It started from the earliest of period, when it was still an oral tradition. Later on, it was written down, for example, in the Earth 3 period, and we have these great heroic stories, these epic tales of the great Uruk rulers, in Merkar especially, corresponding with the biblical Nimrod. We have the Akkadian rulers, that believed themselves to have been Nephilim of divine descent, especially Sargon, the first one. He was believed to have been born from the sacred Maritz, and he's most probably his grandson, but some traditions seem to make him his son, Naram-Sin. He was probably the greatest of all rulers of all time, in my opinion, and only the Roman emperors can be compared. I followed this Nephilim tradition later on to Rome, Imperial Rome, Julius Caesar, for example. He was basically the one that brought the Republic to an end. He believed himself to have been descended from Zeus or Jupiter in the Greek tradition, from Venus and from Mars. So he believed, and again, it's not an ad hoc idea, because we have a continuous tradition, going back to Troy. And before that, the Etruscans and where they originate. So suddenly, so many aspects of migration becomes important, following their stories. And eventually I followed them into Europe, and where a group, for example, like the Merovingians were definitely regarded as Nephilim.
I love all of this, and I love that your life and your work has given us so much insight into this. How can people find your work? How can they study more and learn more from what you've done?
My books are available on Amazon. I have a blog, WMcLoud, WMCLoud.blogspot.com. And then we also have just started with a YouTube channel, 9 Ages, 9 and 10 Ages.
Nice.
Where we also discussed the Nephilim and all the relevant stuff regarding the ancient world.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a pleasure.
Yes.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
You know, Satan's plots and schemes are very long and intricate. They pass over millennia because he's an eternal spirit being, and he has no problem playing the long game to try to get his desires met. But it's the same plot rebranded throughout every civilization and religion of the ages. The gods come down, they mate with human women and create this race of hybrids that are demigods that want to take over the earth, of course.
No. This year it's completely different.
Okay.
This year the plot is UFOs show up carrying extraterrestrials. Who is our mommy and daddy? What's the big word for that? Progenitors.
Ooh.
Oh, then they take us, then they experiment on us, and then they make a super hybrid race of gods. That sounds exactly like what you just said.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's the same dumb plot.
That's right. And to speak to this subject matter, we have the expert, L.A. Marzulli, who has been following this story for over 3 decades. He has interviewed UFO abductees, he's removed implants from them, he's traversed the globe and taken Nephilim skulls and DNA tested them. He knows Satan's biogenetic agenda, and here is his story now.
Woo! L.A. Marzulli, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Well, you have been around for quite some time, sounding the alarm like the watchman on the wall, warning people about the Nephilim agenda, Satan's grand biogenetic experiment that he's been duping civilizations with since the beginning of time.
What, 34 films, 1.5 million books. Tell us a little bit about the work you've been doing and for how long.
Well, I've been banging the drum professionally since 98, 99. There's 34 films. There's 15 books. Number 16 comes out in the fall. So the pushback I get is, well, LA, that's really interesting, but we're Jesus only here. I mean, we just want to stick to the Bible. We respect this, but it really doesn't concern us here. We just want to talk about the Bible. Let's talk Jesus only, and let's just talk the Bible. Okay, so Jesus says it'll be like the days of Noah when I return.
Yes.
What does that mean? Everybody 2,000 years ago know exactly what he's talking about. There is no Sethite theory 2,000 years ago. That doesn't happen till the knucklehead Julius Africanus just pulls the theological rabbit out of its hat. Now it's taught in all the seminaries. The sons of God are really the godly line of Seth, and the women of earth are the mamas that came. But it's taught in all the seminaries, and all the pastors, you have a son of God of a godly line of Seth. It's not there. It's B'nai HaElohim, which always refers to the angelic host. You can take Genesis 6 in the King James Version and overlay it with the book of Enoch, first Enoch, right? The Watchers, chapter 6, word for word. Except the sons of God is translated the fallen angels, the angels of heaven, the daughters. I mean, if you don't get that, then the rest of the Bible makes no sense. So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. The Word was God. He was with God at the beginning. All things were made by him. All things were made by him. And without him was not anything made that was made. He spoke everything into existence. He's going to roll up the heavens, like a scroll. He's going to create a new heaven and a new earth. And by the way, there's no more sea. You want to know why? Because that's where these clowns hide. They hide in the deep parts of the ocean. You never find them down there, right? There may be whole cities down there. That's where the technology is. That's where a lot of the abductees are taken. That's where all sorts of crazy stuff happens. And so, people go, well, there's some well-meaning Christians out there who just go, all of this is nothing more than, I have all my little toys here. Remember those goofy sci-fi movies from the 60s? And you knew when you heard... And you go, and sure enough, the monster would be there. The hand would come around the corner. It's just like, give me a break. We went to the Roswell crash site. Gil Zimmerman, Chuck Zukowski was our guide, along with Frank Kimbler. That is a piece of metal. We are the only film company, according to Chuck, that's ever shown the metal actually coming out of the ground, buried about 8 inches. We took it to a scanning electron microscope, and that metal is folded in on itself like this. And when the metallurgist came in and saw it, I asked her, I said, well, in your opinion, what would cause this? And she said, well, something like a cataclysmic event, like an explosion. I said, oh, really? And she goes, well, where'd you get this? And I said, I got it from the Roswell debris field. Her eyes pop open like it's just what I've learned, like when I went to tell Gezer or Gilgal Raphaim, we crawled down into the and it looks just like it looks very similar to what's in Sardinia and even in America's Stonehenge. There's and of course, it's just similarities because human beings are human. But you guys don't even know what you're talking about. Just making stuff up, just regurgitating what you were taught in college. There are no such thing as giants. That's what they're taught in the first year. No giants. Why would you even tell people that? You know, why do you go out of your way to tell people that there's no giants in the first year? What's the modus operandi behind that? No, they run roughshod. Oh, the Shawnee built the Octagon Mount. Excuse me, nobody didn't. But that's what's going on, guys. We are in unprecedented, tenuous times that fulfill Bible prophecy.
How can people, again, get in touch with your ministry and give?
It's just LAMarzulli.com, on YouTube, LA Marzulli. We're all on social media. We're all over the place.
Thank you so much, LA, for being here.
Hey, guys, God bless you. Let's do it again soon.
Yes, please.
Take care.
I am still blown away at L.A. Marzulli's encyclopedia of Nephilim knowledge. And don't worry, we're going to have more interviews like these amazing individuals coming up in this series. But next week, we jump back into Return of the Nephilim as we traverse the globe to tell the story of Satan's agenda.
Recently, I heard from some viewers, made some comments, made the suggestion they think that we just may be the first to have a series entirely focused on Satan's seed wars and the Nephilim. Yeah, there's been documentaries, there's been manifestos, there's been that one mailer that Mel Gibson did when he's in conspiracy theory he sent out. But I think this is the first, and we can't take credit for it because this was all God's idea.
Yes.
And then he told Caleb, and Caleb forced me. And that's why we did it, because time is coming to an end, and people need to know this information.
And that's why Satan is working at such alarming speeds to unfold his agenda of AI, transhumanism, UFO disclosure. He knows time is short, and he's trying to get everything in his plan before Yeshua returns and beats him down. In Revelation 22:12-13, Yeshua says, "Behold, I am coming quickly, and my reward is with me, to give to everyone according to his work. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last."
Sincerely, we know that time is coming to an end quickly. We all have a part to play. You may not want to go and film 17 episodes across the world where there's some treacherous conditions and other things like that, but maybe that's not your call. Maybe your call is to support this ministry financially, through prayer, or in some other way that God tells you. But we do ask you to pray and see how you can be a part. This is a group effort. It's collaborative. Go to beardedbiblebros.com, call 1-800-WONDERS for you to make a difference in this ministry today. And remember, before you go, Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim.
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. To the shock of no one, most world governments have turned against Israel, but unfortunately, so have many church congregations. Very few ministries are supporting the Jewish people or teaching the truth about Israel in God's covenant plans.
In fact, if you scroll through social media, you'll see feed after feed of churches teaching that the Jewish people are not God's chosen people and not the fulfillment of a covenant. At Zola 11 Ministries, we've been preaching the same message for 47 years. Why? Because God's message does not change. The Jewish people are his chosen people, but he also made a way for the Gentile to be grafted in. Consider donating to this ministry to be a part today of getting this message out. You can call 1-800-WONDERS, or you can click on the link below at levitt.com. Did you know the Bearded Bible Brothers is an outreach of Zola 11 Ministries? That means we are entirely donor funded. Consider giving at levitt.com. You can also join the Bearded Bible Bonanza to access additional content at patreon.com/beardedbiblebonanza. Please support our mission to spread the gospel of Yeshua by subscribing to our social media and sharing our online messages. And as always, pray for the peace of Jerusalem.